Hey, what's going on, Podcast Nation? It is Jason Harris here with Vitchamus. I am going to get used to saying that. It's fun saying that. Hey, thanks for joining me on another episode of Strategy with Jason. Tonight, I have some amazing guests tonight. I have Mr. John Cott and his wonderful sons are joining me all the way from the great province of British Columbia. Thank you guys for taking the time to come jam with me. I really appreciate it. We've been connected on LinkedIn for a while, and it's great because I love making those connections on LinkedIn, and we've had the opportunity to kind of follow each other through the content that we've been putting out there. And we had this opportunity to finally connect and shoot a podcast. So I am really, really excited, guys, to hear your story and kind of how the dealer group started, how this is truly a family affair. So if, for everybody out there that's watching or listening and are not familiar with the Auto Group and kind of how you got started in the industry, if we can kind of get that 2-minute origin story that is Mr. John Cott.
Well, firstly, thanks for inviting us to your office here in Toronto. We're a family-owned business with my two sons and my daughter, Janessa, and my lovely wife who helps with decision-making from home. But we're 8 years in now. Our first dealership was 8 years ago in Kelowna, and we've kind of grown since then. So we now have 6 dealerships, as well as 2 Genesis distributorships. And we're really looking forward to keep growing as a company. And obviously, my family and with the 2 sons and the younger generation are keeping me on my toes with innovation and growth. Brandon is the oldest son, and he's director of operations. So mainly works out of both Maple Ridge and Victoria Hyundai. And kind of his specialty would be finance operations and sales manager operations. And Jordan went to school and got his business degree, and then came back and kind of helped me with some of the organizational and financial type stuff. And he's now taken on the new role as running our newest dealership at Kelowna Kia and getting that in, sort of going in the right direction. So
that's awesome. Now I'll give you guys both your opportunities as well to kind of tell us a little bit how you guys got kind of started in the industry. So Jordan, I'll start with you. Sure. How'd you get sucked into this? Was it truly a family affair? I mean, did you come in kicking and screaming, or were you like, no, sign me up?
I think I knew that I wanted to get into the car business probably until grade 12. So it wasn't like one of those things where it's like I always wanted to. It was more so just like, okay, what am I going to do? It's grade 12. I knew I wanted to go to school and get a little bit of secondary schooling. So I knew I was going to go to do that. My current wife lived in Edmonton. I was from Kelowna, so I knew that there was going to be a little bit of that going on. To get into the car business, my dad was always in it. I knew that he was super successful with it, so I knew that he was a good person to follow. I knew that if I did follow him, it would probably be a good way to earn a good monetary amount. So I went to NAIT for schooling for post-secondary. I went and got a business management degree, and then after that, I guess in the summers when I was taking a management degree, my first job was in the finance office. I was like their assistant. I did like a lot of their just paperwork and stuff like that. And then the second summer that I was going to school, I started selling cars in the summer, and then obviously I was on the floor when I graduated from school as well. So. And then it just from there you learn and you kind of take what you learned in school and just put it into the business. But I think that's one reason why we're also super successful, me and my brother, is because my dad just made us start at the bottom. It's not like, hey, like I'm going to put these guys right into management positions, or I'm going to put them in high profile positions. It's like you're going to start from the bottom and you're going to learn the business, and then you're going to move up.
There's no silver spoon, right?
There's no silver spoon, yeah. So both me and my brother started on the sales floor. I was on the sales floor for 3 years, just working my way up, just essentially, learning everything there is about selling cars, the product, closing deals, the internet part of it. We did that. Then we got promoted into like an assistant management position, then a sales manager position, then a used car manager, and it just slowly we got into different positions. But I think that's one reason why I think me and my brother are really successful, is just because he did force us to learn all the aspects of the business. I originally actually started in detail, believe it or not. So I've done everything.
funny, that's actually where I started too.
Yeah, I was detailing cars when I was
Wax on, wax
15,
off.
16. So yeah,
Then I think there's a little stint in
it was
landscaping.
landscaping. Yeah.
Landscaping, yeah.
I worked in accounting for like 4 months too, so I've done a lot of it. Yeah.
So, really knowing what it means to kind of dig deep and sweat it out and just get the job done was something you really kind of pushed into, and that's awesome. Hey, Brandon, for you, how did you come in the same way, or was it a little more?
Yeah, no, I kind of knew right away. Like I was obviously in high school just like Jordan, and I knew that I wasn't going to take the school path. Yeah, he went off and did post-secondary. I was like, that's not for me. So actually, like, we had to pull some moves with the Vehicle Sales Authority of BC at the time, because I was actually like, I don't want to say selling cars when I was in high school, but
Yeah.
I'd like go to school till 3 o'clock, and then like I was in high school at the time. I think I was like 17, and then I would like go sell cars till like 7 or 8 o'clock till the dealership closed, and I'd go there on Saturdays and work a full day. And I kind of just knew right away that's what I was gonna do, because all my friends were making like $12 an hour working at Dollarama and Superstore, and then
Like, this is
all of a sudden I was selling like a couple cars a month, and you're making I'm making a lot more than they are. So I was like, okay, I think I can do well with this. So yeah, then like my dad, like I said, he started me off right on the sales floor, and I moved up from there. And then I think when I was 21 or 22, I was kind of like, okay, well, I've done the whole John Cobb process. He's father-dad relationship, and he's a pretty good car guy. But I was like, what else is out there? So
pretty good car guy. Did you hear that?
Wanted to spread his wings, which was good.
yeah, so I just decided I was gonna go out. So I moved from Kelowna to Vancouver. And I was like, I just want to see what else is out there, other car dealerships. Then I worked at a couple other stores. And then at that time, I didn't have, I always say like, nobody, when I left the company and I went and did my own thing, I wanted to spread my wings a little bit and like see what else is out there, see other dealerships around, and try to get some experience on everything. I always say like, I kind of self-taught myself everything, because there was nobody like who was there to like watch me or tell me what to do or anything anymore. But at the same time, I watched him for like 5 years, so I feel like I kind of had an edge with some people.
Yeah,
I was like 22, 23, and working alongside guys or moving up quickly and getting promoted against guys who are like 30. But if you actually look at the experience, selling cars since I was 17, so I had like 5 years, and they've been in this couple of years, so it's kind of funny. But yeah, then I ended up working at 2 different dealerships, like Ford and then Chrysler, and then ended up getting promoted and moving up quickly, and was managing the #1 car store in Canada, Maple Ridge. So I did that for 2 years, and that's a good little track record on my resume. They're not #1 anymore after I left.
Yeah, you know what? It's funny listening to both you guys. I mean, it was, you can see it's coming from a place of practitioner, right? Like, this wasn't something that you guys just were handed. You had to work for it. You guys also kind of both found your own little niche within the business. Now, I'm curious because I have 2 sons, and I'm incredibly competitive with my 2 sons. So much so my wife actually is a little bugged by it. So my boys are learning to play checkers. Now, my boys are not your age, right? They're 5 and 6. And my wife is completely annoyed that I will not let my boys beat me at checker. They're going to keep losing until they figure out a way to beat me. So is there a competitiveness between you and your sons as well? I mean, who's the better salesman here?
Between myself against the sons, I think they all have their own style. I don't know if. I think all 3 of us would say we're just as good.
We would all say we're the best.
We would all say they're best. But no, I mean we're very sports-minded people. So both kids played hockey at a high level, and I coached at a high level, and so we have that spirit with us. So we do a lot of chirping, and we do a lot of fun sort of competitiveness, but it's not at the point where it's detrimental to the business. It's all healthy, right? So
Now,
I'll make a funny comment to that.
Okay, I wanna hear it.
So losing is, I mean, he said that politically correct, but losing is not an option for us. We don't like we hate to lose, but I'll give you a little rundown. So like, this is just kind of like the childhood that we grew up in, right? So like, me and my brother, we'd be playing mini sticks downstairs, right? Like my dad said, we're a huge hockey family. So we'd be playing mini sticks downstairs and stuff, and then, my dad would be like, "Hey, do you guys want to play me?" So we're like, this is going back. We were like 4 years old, right? Wouldn't let us beat us. So we're playing mini sticks again, and he's body checking us against the wall, making sure that we don't get goals. We're crying like, why won't you let us win? You guys aren't good enough to win. Keep practicing.
Yeah.
Right. So we probably didn't beat them at mini sticks until we were like 11. Right.
When you did though, like how was that for you?
Well, it was, yeah. I mean, it's huge, right? Because I mean, it taught.
Yeah,
it
Bob
taught
Warren is pushing us over.
Yeah, I mean, like obviously he's gonna beat us. We're 4 years old, but he didn't. That was his whole thing. Like he didn't let us beat us until we were good enough to beat him.
Yeah.
Right. Same thing with basketball. Like we didn't beat him until we were probably 13 or 14. Right.
Yeah.
So he put a lot of like those kind of like standards, and I don't know what the right word would be, but just like it taught us a lot. Kind of when I think back, just and maybe that has something to do kind of what you said with like we weren't just like, hey, here's a management position, like here's a huge salary paying job, like we had to work for it, right? And he made us work for it, and it was just like one of those things where in the back of our heart it was just like, okay, well, if I want to be the top sales guy on the floor, like I guess I'm gonna have to beat these guys, right?
Yeah.
And I think going back to just the mini sticks, like, hey, if I have to beat my dad, I'm gonna have to work for it. I'm gonna have to practice playing mini sticks.
Yeah, there's no
right?
medals for showing up.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's no medals for showing up. But no, I think that's true. I mean, my son the other day was complaining that he wasn't winning, and I said, "Look, bud, you didn't lose 14 times. You just found 14 ways not to win." So, yeah, that was an interesting conversation.
I'm on their team.
Oh, nice. So this is truly a family affair. I mean, it really is, right? So one of the things that kind of drew me to connecting with you, John, was just your authenticity around really connecting with your staff and how you go about in those sales meetings. And, the way you kind of conducted yourself is, it's not a place that I'm talking from you up here, but let me get face-to-face and eye level and have a real conversation with you. Is that something that you kind of had to teach yourself, or is that natural?
I was lucky enough to work for, I came from a small town and I worked for a couple really good dealers in Weyburn that I think were really good at engaging with their employees. And I believe in sort of the 80-20 rule, like 80% of the time, the employees are going to like me and I'm going to like them, and then we try and work through the 20. So I've just kind of always had, there's no perfect employees and there's no perfect bosses, and I try and communicate that with them and vice versa. And so when you kind of have that mindset, then it, good things can happen. But we like to have fun, and I feel like I'm pretty hands-on with employees. So I think they know that. They know that, open door policy means that it doesn't mean like they're worried about like I'm too, he's really busy. But I mean, employees can reach out to me if they want. They know that. So whether it's a text or an email or a conversation, and it's not like they're always going to agree with everything I say, but they know that I'm approachable. And I think that's something that I've always tried to have a standard of in the company, that any employee, no matter what their position is, they can approach me at any time.
I actually think that's kind of a good topic to dive a little more deeper into, because I think for a lot of managers out there, for a lot of owners out there, at the end of the day, we are the captain of that ship, but we still have a crew. And, so how do you balance out, the, showing them empathy and listening to and respecting their thoughts and opinions, but at the end of the day, still your hands are on that steering wheel. You're the one that's deciding the direction of the ship. How do you balance those two out?
Well, firstly, I mean, making sure that you have the right people and they're aligned with you, right? Mm-hmm. And I mean, sometimes you get it right, sometimes you don't, right? And I mean, the ones that you don't get right generally don't stick around. And I'm not saying that, I'm not going to be for everyone. Like I'm not, our culture, I shouldn't say mine, but our culture, our way of doing things isn't going to be for everyone. And it's just recognizing when that is the case, and they move on. And it's not like they're bad people. They're just, they're not part of our book anymore. They're on to a new chapter, right? And the ones that want to stay and want to work with us, then we kind of try and embrace them and bring them into our culture and our family and our business, and we have a lot of fun doing it. So
I'd be curious how each one of you, how do you guys define the culture of the business? In your own words, how do you define that culture?
I think, family oriented is definitely a main part of the culture, but we also have, I would say passion is like a big word in our culture.
Don't forget
as well.
passion for excellence.
Yeah. I mean, it just has something to do with like I said, like we're we don't like to lose, right? So we have a big passion for excellence. We strive to be the best. We strive to have the number one store in Kelowna for Hyundai, or just in general, right? We strive to have the number one store in Maple Ridge. We strive to have the number one store in Victoria. Like, to say that to somebody, a lot of people would be like, whoa, like that's a pretty cocky thing to say, but that is our goal, right? So, we're family orientated. We are going to push you past your boundaries, right? We're going to push you because we care about you, not so much because, we're dicks, if you want to call it, or we're assholes, but like, you can go to work for another dealership and they're not going to push you and you'd be like, my boss is awesome. He's always smiling with me. He's talking to me all the time. Like, he's just a nice guy. Right. And like, yeah, we do have a little bit of a doubt about that, but with our dealerships, like, we're also going to take you into an office and we'll say, hey, we need another level out of you. Mm-hmm. Like, I want to push you. And that's not because, it's selfish from us. It's because I care about you. I want you to, instead of making 4K, I want you to make 6K.
Because that's what you do with family, right?
Exactly.
Like, that's what you do with family. You pull them to the side, you have that one-on-one, and it's coming from a place of not being self-serving. Like, you're not pushing them necessarily just to perform because it's benefiting you. You're pushing them to perform because it's in the benefit of them.
I see potential in them, yeah. So like, I'm gonna push my brother. Like, if I see something, I'm gonna be like, hey man, like, you need to step up. You're not doing good enough. Like, I need another level out of you. It's the same thing with employee. But that's part of the family thing. Like, if I consider you a family member because you're an employee that works for me, I'm gonna have that conversation with them, right? Yeah. So when you talk about culture, I think the three biggest words would be family, obviously, passion, and then just to strive for excellence. I think would be the three big ones.
Brendan, how would you describe that?
Yeah, he pretty much summed it up there, but I'd probably add loyalty. I mean, the surprising thing about it is, like, we do have high expectations in our company, but you'd be amazed at how, like, in a time right now where, like, dealerships and, like, with millennials and stuff, I have literally buddies come all the time. They're just like, man, like, my sales staff is like constantly turning, can't seem to keep anybody. Surprising thing is that, like, we do have high expectations, but like we have low turnover. Like, our core guys, like our core sales team, like, I look at my Maple Ridge dealership, for example. We've had the sales team's been the exact same since January of last year. So like a whole year of the same 6-7 guys that hasn't changed. Like, it's like almost unheard of in today's age right now. It's like, I get calls all the time. People are just like, oh man, I can't figure these guys out. It's like, yeah, it's an open door. Everybody's calling me, like, they can't. One guy goes, it's a revolving door. But I look at our dealerships in our group, and our core guys stick around. And my dad said it best also, like, it starts from having, like, the people that you're in the company, like, aligned with you. So, like, we promote culture, we promote family, but you can't be everywhere at all times. So it's making sure that when we're not there, the guy who is following our same expectations, and he's following our culture, and he's making sure that our management staff's really aligned with us. And it's also like we promote a pretty good culture because we also promote within a lot. So most of our management staff is like, they also had to go through the ring.
Is that a big part of the business then as well, is in personal development?
Yeah, I would say, like, out of a lot of our mid-level, like our mid-level positions, like so for Kelowna Hyundai, a lot of the mid-level sales manager jobs and those ones started off in sales, and we try and promote and coach and develop within, right? Because those are the type of employees that end up staying a long term. Yeah. When you develop them. And then same with Maple Ridge and Victoria. All our GMs have been with me a very long time. So all the GMs started, like Sam, who's at Kelowna Hyundai. He started on the sales floor with me like 18 years ago, and now he's a GM at Kelowna Hyundai, right? So same with Perry. He started on the sales floor. He's now a GM at Maple Ridge. Scott Muir at Victoria started in finance and has been with me 5-6 years. So we like that story. We like, a lot of, especially the younger generation, millennials, they want to work for an employer that they know they can develop and keep growing because they get bored. Because they get bored, right? Constantly challenged. So in our company, they know, like, it's not just a fake promise. It's like, wow, look at all these other guys. They worked hard. They did, they followed the process or followed the systems and they got some results, and then they were promoted, right? So when you have, 4 or 5 dealerships, there is going to be opportunities, right? So, and I think a lot of the...
And constantly expanding.
Yeah, and, we're looking to keep expanding at a moderate, organic way, and this year we added 2 dealerships, and, so a lot of people got moved around, a lot of people got promoted, right? So
So look, I look at culture, and it's still one of those buzzwords, unfortunately, that's in our industry, right? And for a lot of people, they seem to think it's something you can buy or something that you have to like build or maintain. But I really find that it's through intentful processes in place that is what ultimately kind of builds up that culture. Look, loyalty wouldn't exist if you didn't intentionally create a salesperson or an employee a development and career path. You know, there's so many dealerships out there right now. There's so many groups out there that are afraid. They're afraid of developing these people. It's like, I don't want this salesperson to be a sales manager. He's my best salesperson. And they want them to continue to be that, even though as an individual, that person may want to be a sales manager.
There's lots of examples where, you know, even some of our managers probably could have went and worked somewhere else and got you know, chased the dollar and got better offers, and I'm sure they still do, but you know, they knew they seen light at the tunnel and stuck with us, and you know, it's all worked out for them, you know. And there's other guys that, you know, they were next in line for promotion, and they didn't want to wait, and they chased it, and you know, now they're wondering what they have regrets, right? So it all depends on the person and whatever, but we try and instill that, right? So we want them to know that, hey, if, you know, we want to develop you, and if you work hard and do some of the things we ask you to do, then there's going to be lots of room for advancement.
Do you document out what that career path is? So it's like if I'm like, let's say I'm an F&I manager, I'm like, hey, I would like to be a GSM, hypothetically, okay? I mean, do you kind of come in and say, hey, look, John, all right, over the next 3 years, these are the kind of milestones and these are the things that we're looking for, you know, we want you to ultimately replace yourself, we want you to
good question, Jason. We just had a workshop this week, and it was based on basically, you know, making sure we know what our employees' goals are and making sure we know what their motivators are, and so that's the first part, right? So is actually sitting down with your employee and saying, hey, what are your goals, and then, you know, trying to figure out how they're going to achieve it, right? So and putting it down on paper, right? So and then knowing what motivates them, right? Because people's motivators change from month to month. 100%. I mean, 1 month it could be money, the next month it could be more family time, right? So you know, as a company, we want to make sure that we're constantly focused on that, right? So
and like, how can you get all your employees to really believe in your why and execute your why if you don't believe in their why and help them execute their why? Like, why are they ultimately showing up, you know, to sell cars? Why are they showing up to detail cars? You know, is it because the one guy's trying to move out of his mom's basement? Is it because the one person's trying to save up for their daughter's college tuition? You know, it's like, if we don't know their why, how can we ever get them to actually believe and execute in our why, right? That's so cool. There are a lot of things that are changing in our industry. There are a whole nother generation of people that are coming into the business. There's technology, there's marketing, there's branding. I mean, I think a dealership and a group's branding probably is as important now as it ever has been in the past. I'm curious from all you guys, and we'll go around and kind of listen to you. If you were to pick a couple things that you just feel like you're going to, as yourselves, spend the most amount of time in investing your time that will bring your group the most amount of ROI, what would those two things be?
Well, maybe kind of two things with it, and I was kind of telling you about this before we started the podcast, but the one thing that I really like about us three is we all have different areas of expertise, right? So like for me, my area where I might think that we might get the ROI is used cars, right? Because my expertise is used cars, right? So, you know, that's something that I'd say that I'm better than my dad and my brother on: appraising cars, you know, controlling the inventory, pricing them properly, marketing online, our website, just everything to do with used cars. But then if I look at my brother, you know, his is the finance department, right? So he's diving in the finance department, right? He's having like, you know, weekly calls with each one of our stores. You know, he actually, one thing that he does as well is we're not allowed to tube a deal in our company without Brandon touching it first. And Brandon's the final person to tube the deal because he's the best in the company, right? Oh, so, cool. You know, yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it's, you know, I think finance is a huge area of opportunity for every car dealership, every company, but, you know, that's not something that I'm going to focus on because it's Brandon's expertise. So Brandon's going to focus on that. I'm going to focus on, you know, the used cars. My dad's obviously very good at, you know, driving processes and just holding people accountable. So like, I mean, that's what he's doing. So I think that's one thing that, just looking at our company, if I was an outside person looking in, is we have essentially like a three-headed monster that's very good at a couple different things, and we're all pushing it in our own way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that answered your question or not, but when you said like, hey, like, what are you going to really strive for to, essentially earn profit? We all have a kind of a different department that we're focusing on.
When we're thinking of investment in time, over the next few years, where do you see is going to bring you the most amount of value to your group and to your dealership in your time invested into what area of the business?
So my brother kind of summed it up there. I mean, as far as responsibilities go, like, we all have our strengths and our weaknesses that we try to, like, it's nice that we all balance each other out. As far as from a pure profit standpoint, the finance office is the most profitable department in the car business right now. Yeah. So I do, that's the main focus for us. But we've kind of touched base on it a couple times tonight. We circled back on it, I guess. But this is a people business. So as far as it's not really on paper return on investment, but your people is, I invest in my company, invest in my people, invest in my managers. Part of my job is to travel to each dealership, and anybody in a management position, like, I'm the guy who spends, an hour or 2 hours with them, like, when I'm in the office. So yeah. you invest in them to make sure they are aligned with you, because that's the only way your company can grow and expand properly.
We're in an industry of people, and to your point, not being the jack of all trades and master of nothing, but then also, investing in those people to ensure that they're not doing that. Invest in time and people is great. John, is there anything that you would like to add to how you would invest your time within the group that you're going to see that brings you the most amount of ROI over the next couple of years?
Yeah, I mean, what Brandon said, for me, it's mostly just making sure the right people are in the right positions, and I have many experiences or many examples of having someone that's not right for the position or not right for our company, and how that affects the business and the rest of the staff and the rest of the team. So I guess for my position and being, CEO of the company, I just making sure that we have the right people in the right positions and they're doing the right things. And I think I have a pretty good eye for that, and just making sure we continue to develop and stay the course on all our sort of our roadmap.
The people are really going to be at the core of what's going to continue to push you guys to. You had a saying. What was the saying again? Something excellence. What was it?
Passion for excellence is
Passion
basically
for excellence.
Part of our culture and mission statement. Yeah.
Yeah, and that passion comes from people, right? And it's finding those right people, continue to develop those right people. That's absolutely awesome, guys. I got one more question for you before we kind of finish off tonight. The industry, a lot of things are changing. We're gonna not sell as many cars as we did the year before. There are some manufacturers that are looking, they're going to be here, they're going to be flat, they're going to be up, they're going to be slightly down, all right? But we're not in a time where we're going to see huge prosperity. I call it kind of that plateau, which is really kind of funny because every 5 or 6 years we do this, but we all freak out about it. There's a lot of new technology that's coming into our industry, a lot of new marketing tactics, all right? What's exciting to you guys right now? What have you heard? What do you see that's just like, that is cool, that's something that I at least want to start having a discussion around with my team about what would that look like for us as a group?
That's a really good question. I mean, for us, based on the brands we have, I think we're lucky to have, Hyundai's on the upside right now, and so is Kia. So I mean, what they have going on, and with the EVs and just the market share and everything like that is exciting. It'll be interesting to see how Nissan kind of comes out of everything, right? So they kind of had a flat year or whatever. And then Jordan touched base on it. We're selling 1-to-1 at all our stores, right? And then we have a separate used car dealership that does really well. So, we're going to continue to focus on the used market, right, and try and be leaders in the industry. And I think, that's going to take us,
really diversifying efforts,
yeah,
ensuring that you guys consistently stay at that 1-to-1.
Yeah. And then just making sure that, we keep an eye on the trends and the markets, and, we have some buildings to build and not overbuild, and not, just making sure we're watching really the industry and the trends and making good decisions, because it does change quickly. So.
It does. It does. It is. This is an industry that does change quickly, and sometimes maybe we're slow to change, but the industry itself will still change regardless. Jordan, over to you. All right, what's exciting to you, man? What are you looking at? Subscription models, EVs?
Well, it's one thing that's like, yeah. I mean, one thing that's exciting for us, and one thing that maybe you guys have seen online, but it's just, I mean, the future is in the car business it's changing so fast, right? So I think one thing that we've really tried to do over the last like 6 months is just like, really tried to have a presence on social media, push, like, I'm not a big social media guy. I'm still kind of working on it, just pushing myself, outside of my comfort zone, right? Like I got a triple chin, I don't like seeing myself on a video, but I mean, customers, believe it or not, they like seeing my triple chin. So, just everything we do, when a customer comes in, they just come in to look at a car, we send them a text with a video just saying, hey, thanks for coming in, but it's a video of our face, right? An internet lead comes in, it's all video based, right? So when you say like what's exciting or what's coming out there, it's just, I think technology, right? And just the way that people are going to buy in the car business.
Is it how we're communicating? Is that what's
I guess that's what I'm trying to say is just like, the way that people are going to buy a car, the way that they're, wanting to communicate with a salesperson at the dealership is changing. And, I think that we've tried to at least somewhat attempt to, follow that with the customer. So, we're doing a lot of Facebook stuff, we're doing a lot of LinkedIn stuff, we're doing a lot of Instagram stuff, doing a lot of video-based stuff where it's just like, pushing the sales guy, like, hey, you got to make a video, just like send it to them, just do something funny, right? Like make. But
it's also lead by example. Like our, a sales manager in our company, we've told them that it's not just about desking deals, it's not just about closing deals. If you're not in the social media, then it isn't going to work out. Like this is the future, and we've made it a mandate with all our sales managers, and I think for the most part we've had a really good adoption of it. So, I mean, but it's taking people out of their comfort zone, right? And we want them to be leaders in it. And like Jordan said, like it was like pulling teeth 6 months ago, and now we've started to create better habits, right? So, but it's getting the sales manager to know that that's part of their daily plan. How many posts have you done? Did you take a picture with the customer when they bought on their delivery? Did you get them to reshare it? Things, all the little things. And so we're kind of growing sort of our sales process based around social media.
Kind of understanding how that community works, how they want to be communicated to, how we can continue to connect to them. I mean, look, it's getting harder and harder to connect to them with this device. I mean, emails, geez, that's getting tough, right? Text messages getting super tough. It's funny. I'm still blown away that when we go to automotive websites, that there's only two ways. Like we only ask the customer 2 ways to communicate with them. Do you have a phone number or can I email you? But it's like we don't ask them, do you want me to instant message you? Do you want me to Facebook chat you? Do you want me to LinkedIn message you? Like, everyone knows. Like for me, it's you send me an email, it's a guaranteed 24 hours before it gets replied to. Text usually within a couple hours. You LinkedIn message me, and John, we were doing it today actually during the event. Like it's within minutes, right? Like we have to have that conversation with our community and respect them on how they want to be communicated to. And that's awesome that you guys are making that commitment to heading that direction. Social media, look, I think that's always been a big one for our industry. I think we focused a lot on the media portion and not necessarily on the social portion, which I think I've seen you guys do a lot. Like, I mean, John, from your perspective and your position within the group, I probably see you more engage socially more than I think any other president I can think of.
Well, I tried to lead by example. I mean, if I want my managers and my staff to start getting it on social media, I felt that I had to give a pretty good example, and then hopefully that they kind of see the benefits and value in it. So, and it's, I mean, like I said, they're starting to get it now. So.
Brandon, for yourself, I mean, I know you're kind of on the number side, so I'm really kind of curious also from yourself. A lot of new things coming in. There's digital retailing, right? There's different ideas and methodologies behind F&I. Like, do we continue to maintain it this box structure, or do we create this super salesperson that includes F&I into their efforts? Like,
yeah, the craziest.
What do you see, man?
Yeah, I mean, my brother they both said it right. I mean, like if I look at what I'm excited about, like used cars right now, new was down last year, but used was up. So there's actually more cars sold year over year because used was up so much. And then my brother said social media, like my dad's awake at 7:30. Like I get up for work and I'm like he's already liked and shared 3 posts and made a post himself, and he's texting me to share his posts. I'm just like, come on, man! Like, I have to get ready in the shower here.
That's cool. Hey guys, I'm gonna finish off with one more quick thing. All right, for everybody out there that's listening and watching right now, and they're like, "Man, this is a super cool auto group. I would really love to come work with these guys." All right, what is the best way for someone to take that approach?
I mean, LM me on LinkedIn is the easiest one, and that happens a lot. But email, text, or LinkedIn or whatever, it's pretty easy to get a hold of us.
Nice.
You know, my cell phone is on the websites. We don't hide from that. So.
Well, if anybody out there is listening, watching, and you guys are out in the Kelowna area and you're looking for a progressive dealer group with a real family-oriented approach to culture, you guys got to check these guys out. Thank you so much for taking the time to jam with me. This was a lot of fun, man.
For freshly brewed discussion on automotive sales and marketing, this is Coffee with Jason. The Coffee with Jason podcast is sponsored by Closer's Coffee for that full-bodied, rich, sweet flavor with a bright acidity. Drink Closer's Coffee, stay caffeinated, and keep on closing. Find out more at closerscoffee.ca.